Welcome to Myths. I'm Matt Huss. And I'm Dan Rhodes. Whether you know about Theseus or you're revising your syllabus, if you want tales with a bit of jest or you just want to hear about incest. What? What? It's really interesting. Welcome to Myths. Welcome to Myths. Hello and welcome to episode 110 of Myths Podcast. My name is Matt Hoss, and my dear co-host is the wonderful Mr. Dan Rhodes. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to this glorious day. It's another beautiful day of a lockdown episode of Myths, and I'm blessed to have you, Dan. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Matthew. I have 3 days off now, which is very lovely, isn't it? Nice thought.
Well, Dan, because you are currently working during this pandemic, how is work? What's it like? Because I haven't done it for a very long time.
Well, Matt, unfortunately, I work in the travel industry, which is, and I'll use the business acumen, absolutely fucked.
Have you met the comedy industry? Because it's also very, very fucked.
Yeah. Also, I've got friends that worked in the theatre industry, and they're using the same business acumen, or business terminology.
Yeah.
Hey, look. Oh my god! I dropped my mic.
We had such a professional introduction as well. We were doing it so well as well. I really enjoyed that. It was like, oh, really nice, business, warm, friendly, and then, oh god, I dropped my mic.
Anyway, Matthew, where was I on our professional discussion?
What happened there, mate? What happened?
Well, I think the universe was like, Dan's getting serious, and then just threw my mic on the floor.
Well, you've recently bought the blue snowball, and you threw it on the floor. So I guess you've kind of made a bit of an avalanche. Come on, that was good stuff.
Nice.
Very niche.
Nice.
But for the people who love audio equipment, that's for you.
Yeah. Do you think people will notice that now we've got very professional sounding voices? Do you think it will make any difference to the to the quality of the podcast?
Well, there's a lot of different cans we've just opened here. You said, does it? Do you reckon our voices sound more professional? I think the audio equipment we use is more professional, but our voice is still drastically unprofessional. I mean, us two are still quite unprofessional.
And we've got like a nice microphone now, but at the same time, it doesn't control what comes out of my mouth.
I wish there was a microphone for that, like a Dan sensor machine as well. Like, oh god, he's going on a rant about xenophobia again. Let's just turn it down on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, what was one of the other questions you just posed as well? Because I think there's a lot of interesting subjects there.
I think that was the only one I mentioned.
There was something else I was going to say, but I totally forgot.
Maybe you had one ready in your brain, and you were like, "Oh, this is going to be an awesome question," and then you forgot when I punched my mic.
Yeah, I just threw it on the floor along with your mic as well.
But to answer your earlier question, before I rudely interrupted by punching the microphone,
imagine you did it on purpose as well.
No, it works. Yeah, works good. I'm in the travel industry. It's a bit sad really at the moment because a lot of people are having to be furloughed. I'm sure lots of redundancies will come. A lot of companies are struggling, but is what it is, and it's keeping everyone safe from COVID-19. So hey, I'm sure this will hopefully this time next year we can all sit back and be like, wow, that was crazy, wasn't it? And hopefully not too many livelihoods are affected, but just don't know at the moment, don't you? And that's the problem, isn't it? It's just uncertainty.
Dan, I've got some big news though.
Go on.
Because you sound a little bit more interested, because this is big stuff, Dan. You're gonna lose your shit here.
Oh, you want me to feign interest in what you're about to tell me?
Yes, that's brought. Like, we're professionals now, Dan. You got to be more like, oh yeah, you have to tease it a bit more. You can't just be you in real life, being like, oh, I don't really give a shit, Matt. Like, you got to help me out a bit here.
Okay, sorry. Say it again.
Remember the Cheeky Girls? They were weird, weren't they? Anyway, big news.
Didn't one of them marry a politician? What's his face?
Oh yeah, Lembic Opic.
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about how weird his name is as well? Like, everyone said his name, because
it was just normal to have a politician called Lempit, whatever the fuck his name was.
That's like having an alien come down, be the politician, and was like, "Yep, that's absolutely
I
fine."
think
And
I think he might have been an alien. Actually, I'm thinking back to times he was on television, and
right,
he might have been a. I mean, he's one of our main listeners, and but if you're listening, welcome back. But yeah,
his email is opic at kang.gmail.com. Yeah, he was always a weird man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know.
what were you going to tell me? Tell me the exciting thing you were going to tell me.
Other important news: Opic's parents were from Estonia, but after the Soviet occupation under Joseph Stalin, they fled to Northern Ireland. Fun fact. There you go.
Wow, and you just knew that off the top of your head as well,
Yeah,
which is
off
really
the top of my head. Couldn't remember his name, but I knew his parents were from Estonia, and
and then they fled because of Stalin.
Yeah, obviously. So big news, Dan.
Ooh!
I've actually this week I started learning Spanish.
Nice,
Hola, amigos.
nice.
Yeah, I've started doing it. Do you know any Spanish, Dan?
See.
Do you want to kind of like ask me some questions? I can, because I don't want to say I'm really smart, but I think I've picked up most of Spanish in a week.
Yeah, I'll ask you some questions in Espanol,
and I'll translate my answers into English as well, just for the idiots who don't speak Spanish, if you know what I mean. So here we go. Ask me a question, Dan.
¿Cómo estás?
Genuinely, my first response was, I know German. Ich bin gut, danke. I panicked, Dan. I panicked. Okay. Estoy bien, gracias.
Matt, I'm very glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that about you. Also, I now have visions of you going to Spain and just replying in German. That's hilarious.
Well, genuinely, that's how my brain works, though. Because like I remember going to Russia on a school trip, and I'm quite good at German, and it's also, since I haven't studied it for a while, that it's kind of locked in my synapse. So if I go back to Germany or I'm in that area, it'll start unlocking it, and like, oh yeah, I know what it is. Like but I can't think of it straight away. But so when I was in Russia and I heard a foreign language, I assumed, oh, it's German. So like a Russian person would be like, da. Was das Vidanya? And I'm like, oh ja, ich bin gut, ich habe ein Pony. You know what I mean? Like, like that's not helpful.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, so if you don't really speak any languages, do you?
Not really. No, I tried to learn. I tried to learn some Spanish when I was when I was traveling around South America for like 2 months. I tried to get good at it. Problem is I just forgot it immediately. I actually think I don't. It's a very weird thing to say, considering I actually don't speak any languages. But part of me thinks I actually have quite a good propensity for languages. Like when I have gone abroad, I have picked it up quite quickly, and I do remember phrases that I learned. I just wasn't ingrained enough to actually. I feel like if I really applied myself, I probably could do all right.
I imagine I imagine you're the kind of person, if you dropped in a country in a week, like you're stranded there, in the first 48 hours, you're like, yep, picked up the language. You got dropped in the middle of the Congo. It's like, yep, I know Swahili now.
Do they speak Swahili in the Congo?
I don't know. To be honest, I took up one and I was hoping you would back me up on it.
I know they speak French.
Yeah, that's the same language, right? Just a different accent.
Exactly the same language.
Do they actually speak French in the Congo?
Yeah, they speak French in the Congo.
Well, that puts the Congo in a different light. You know,
I mean, their currency is the franc.
Well, it could be franc as in Frank Sidebottom, as in like the musician / performance artist.
You're in a weird mood today, aren't you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dan. All the Spanish has gone in my head.
I started doing German Spanish Duolingo, and I need to get German Duolingo to try and talk to my German friends. And then I tried to learn Spanish quite recently on Duolingo, but I haven't been on it for a while, so I should get back into that.
You know what? Genuinely, because I've got a new phone, so I'm able to pick up Duolingo and lots of different apps I haven't used for a while, and it's quite good. I get to listen to audiobooks again, which is really, really good. But also that I like, because with Duolingo, and that now I have this infinite wealth at my fingertips. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to learn the ancient Native American language, the Navajo, because what's stopping me? And yeah, that's the kind of guy I am. Instantly, it's like, yeah, I'm going to learn it. but I picked Spanish because it's easier.
Yeah, exactly. No, I do need to do Duolingo because I have no doubt. I actually have watched a very interesting. We're getting very boring now, but I watched an interesting. Basically, it was an interesting thing about language. It was actually it was that program the BBC do called the Twinstitute. It's when they take identical twins and they get them to do different tasks to see whether it's nature, nurture, or whatever. And on this one, they were doing about languages. So they got two sets of twins, identical twins, and one they had to learn Swedish because they figured it was a language that was super far removed from anything they'd learned at school, and it's so different to English. So they took Swedish. Two of the twins went and learnt it via like an actual teacher, like an actual Swedish teacher taught them for 30 hours a week for like 2 months how to speak Swedish. The other ones had to do 30 hours a week of language learning apps like Duolingo, Babbel, Rosetta Stone, that sort of thing. They used a mixture actually to cover different topics. And they did 30 hours. They all both did 30 hours a week. And then their task after 2 or 3 months was to go to Sweden, and where they were only allowed to speak Swedish to people, and they had to go about and doing various tasks, only speaking Swedish. And it was which one did better or worse. And it was really interesting that actually there wasn't a huge amount of difference. Genuinely, they were quite impressed with how much the people that had done it via the language learning apps actually did know. The only thing they couldn't do was they could say phrases really well, but they weren't very good at understanding what was said back to them.
Oh, I see.
Compared to the people that had lessons, because when you have lessons, there's a physical human being, and they can correct you, or they can reply to you in Swedish, so that you also learn how people what the common phrases people would reply with are. So you learn a lot more conversation than you do vocab, but you equally both learn. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and also, I think I saw that program because did you know who one of the twins was, by the way?
Yes.
Lambert Opik.
Yeah, there it was. Yes, it was the cheeky girls.
It's actually the cheeky girls.
Yeah.
There was an obvious. That was obviously the obvious goal I could have went for, but I was like, you know what? I'll score an own goal. There we go. And just
it's like your brain just completely forgot that the cheeky girls were twins. I think that's just what happened. I'll let you forgive. I'll forgive you about that.
But just to clarify for any of the listeners who were worried for the last 10 minutes, Opik later became involved with the then 24-year-old Gabrielle Imre from the double act Cheeky Girls, but they split up in July 2008 after a difficult period. Just to let you know. Okay, time for a myth. Myths. So, welcome back. So today we assign a what?
Oh, that was such a bad start.
Wait, you start then. You start.
That was funny. I mean, we should keep that in. That was funny.
No, fuck you, Dan.
No, welcome.
Fuck you.
Okay, this that was.
I'm professional now,
That was
Dan.
you scrolling on your screen, wasn't it, to try and see like.
It was, yeah. I was trying to find the right spot, and I just wanted to fill the gap. Okay, I'm going to try this again now. Welcome back to Myths, and this is definitely the first time I've done this.
Wow, that was so professional. What an intro to this after the jingle. Wow.
Thank you. I think I'm going to throw my microphone on the floor now. Now we are starting a brand new saga today. We kind of just finished one with the Brunhilde's and Sigurd's whole saga, but we're starting a brand new one with Beowulf, which is really, really exciting, isn't it, Dan?
Ooh!
Yeah, the camp guy's back. So this is really cool, and I've been thinking about doing Beowulf since we started this podcast. Actually, it's one I've been looking forward to do. It's both one of these things which I remember vividly learning the story in year 3. Not all of it, but the first part. It was part of our English thing, talking about old Norse stuff. That's how I started getting interested in Norse mythology to begin with. And so today we get to fulfill that. So it's really cool. Do you know much about Beowulf, Dan?
Well, my knowledge of Beowulf is as extensive as my knowledge of Achilles in the Trojan War and the Iliad, because I, of course, have seen the film Beowulf. Yeah.
Oh, so you've seen the film as well? Because I remember watching, because it was like CGI out in like
Yeah, I went to
2006.
watch
It was
I
weird,
went with
right?
some of my friends on my birthday actually to see Beowulf when it came out, and we were
And you get
the only one. We saw it very close to it. Like I think it was only a few. It only had a few more days in cinemas before it it's it's whatever its time had run out. I don't know what I can't speak today. Whatever it's called when the it's
yeah, like
run,
the
I
end of
guess.
the run. Yeah.
And it was going to be out of cinemas soon, so we went into like when they put films into like the really crappy small, like they kind of get
Oh
demoted
yeah,
as they
yeah.
go on. And we were like the only ones in there. We just sat at the back watching it. It was fun.
That's one of my favorite pleasures to sit in the cinema with me in it only.
Yeah,
Oh,
I remember thinking it was really genuinely. I really, really enjoyed it. I remember some of my friends didn't particularly enjoy it, and I know critics didn't enjoy it, but then some people did. I liked it. I thought it was good. But it'll be very
I
interesting
remember.
to see if any of it's actually what happens in the story.
If I'm recollect, I think it kind of is. They did do a different variation of the monster, but
I
we'll talk
also
about
remember
that when.
seeing naked CGI golden
Yes,
Angelina
yes,
Jolie.
yes. That's what I remember. That's genuinely the only thing I remember. Oh yeah, I'm actually going to Google it now. Oh no, it's Lambert Opavik. Oh no. um, but yeah. So that was that as well. So but I think the Norse mythology is quite a lot different, and there's a lot of lore that goes with it today. So let's start our first part of Beowulf.
Fire away, amiga.
The island of Zealand was the ancestral home of the Danes. Skilled Skeffing was the founder of the Danish royal house, known as the Skildings. His son, Beo, succeeded him at his death. Beo, like his father, was a powerful yet fair ruler. When he died, his son, Hilfdin, came to the throne. By the way, in the next 3 paragraphs, I'm just going to say there's about 50 different Norse words which none of us know how to say. Here we go. Healfdene had 3 sons, Hrothgar, Hrothgar, and Halagar. His daughter, Urs, married the Swedish king, Unela. Hrothgar became king after that. Hrothgar married Wealhtheow and became the father of 2 sons, Hrethric and Horfmund, and of a daughter named Fiarro. I just guessed at that last one. So a big old genealogy of people I assume we'll never meet again.
No, but that is the Norse way, isn't it, Matt? To just throw in some expedition and a family tree and all of the uncles and aunties and cousins and nieces and nephews for absolutely no reason other than to confuse us.
Imagine just also being like as if one of us actually knew what one of. Oh yeah, O'Neilla. She's my favorite. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like
yeah,
the
of
only
course.
thing we take from that is that Hrothgar is our main man. He's going to be the main king in this story, and now we know that he comes from a long line of other kings. That's the important thing.
Yeah,
He
a
didn't just.
king's king.
One thing's for sure about Hrothgar: he didn't just appear out of nothing. He does actually have ancestors.
It kind of seems like whoever made the story was like, right, we need some more context in this Hrothgar figure because we don't want to just jump him in straight into the exposition. It's like, yeah, family tree. It's like, did that clear anything up? No. Okay, fair enough.
They're like, Hrothgar was a person who had parents. Okay, let's go.
yeah. There we go. A bit like the parents of Lambert Opik, who fled from Estonia.
Can I also just mention, family? What I also want to mention is this is also quintessentially Norse mythology. They love alliteration, don't they? In Norse mythology, like you can't if you have multiple children, you've got to make sure that all their names start with at least the same letter of the alphabet. Is that a law in like the Viking time? I don't know. It seems to be a common theme.
You know what? This is entirely a guess and speculation. But do you reckon? Like in Nordic and Scandinavian countries, that if you if you are born a son, you are called, for example, Stig Larsson. If your Lars is your dad, you're Stig Larsson. Do you reckon if you are born into like a new family, you take the first letters of your father's name, so like Hrothgar, and that's like it's like a surname of sorts, maybe?
Yeah, that's why they've all got the same. Like they've all got H in their names.
Yeah, or it might be. It's a theory which is probably ill-founded and probably provable against, but it's something, right?
And it's also a theory that I'm not going to look up, so I'm just going to assume that. And that's the good thing about theories, right? We just say it. It's up to people to let us know.
It's nice that we're really nice and professional on this podcast. We do our research beforehand, and we just guess.
But the important thing is Hrothgar. He's our guy, Hrothgar.
You sound like an old dog trying to bark.
Well, I
Hrothgar.
went to pronounce the H at the beginning of his name, but I realised we're just going to treat that like silent, aren't we? His Hrothgar.
Hrothgar. Well, it's yeah, Hrothgar. Hrothgar was a strong and brave young king who had won glory in battles. Like his predecessors, Hrothgar was known for his fairness and generosity. Hrothgar built a grand palace or hall called the Heliot, where the loyal and brave Thanes dwelled and dined with him. Thane resembled something like a baron or a free retainer who provided military service to a lord or a king, which was normal practice in Anglo-Saxon times.
I also know from a book I read recently, one that you got me actually, the Greg Jenner book. I realised that Vikings, they all used to have or the Danes, they all it's very common in like the towns to have a centralized, massive like mead hall or palace,
Yes,
and
I
the
think something
palace
you
was
call it.
like it was opened up, like how in medieval times like peasants didn't really go to the king's castle. Well, in Vikings, I believe they did. Like their main grand. It looked like I'm picturing like a grand hall out of like Harry Potter and Hogwarts, and it was open to people all the time. And that's where the community. It was like the town hall, but it was also in the palace.
Oh yeah,
And
that
and
sounds
a lot
quite
of people
cool.
slept in there as well. Like soldiers used to sleep in there. Like they used to have like beds on the side. Like the tables that you'd eat dinner, and then the tables would get pushed to the side of the hall, and they'd become like beds, and everyone would sleep there when they're drunk.
Oh, you know what? I would love that in a pub where, like, you just had the right amount of drinks. You've been drinking in the afternoon. You have your dinner, a little nap at the side. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, that was genuinely what they did in like Viking times. Like I remember reading that they genuinely like the like noblemen even like after a dinner party would sleep in the hall. Like everyone would like have a massive sleepover.
Imagine that in Game of Thrones. The Red Wedding would be totally different.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Vikings. That's actually a
Um,
Viking fact I actually do know because I read it.
Dan, we don't like facts on this show. We just like to
Sorry.
guess aimlessly
Sorry.
and like hope for the best. Hrothgar was at the height of power when the most devastating event struck his kingdom.
In Heriot, Hrothgar and his thanes had finished their joyful feast before they had retired for the night. The thanes normally slept in the hall. Oh my god, as if that
You
just
just did
happened.
him at Hossa.
I did just do it at house. I actually didn't know that was in there. Oh my god. See, I wasn't wrong, was I, Matt?
Well, I actually put it in. I actually typed it into the Google document as just to make you feel better. No, you're all right.
In Heriot, there was a thane where a sinister. Excuse me, I will decide how to spell that word. Pronounce that word. Near Heriot, there was a fen where a sinister creature, which the Danes know as Grendel, dwelled at the bottom of the lake. Descriptions of Grendel were poor. Grendel could be either a giant or a demon. Perhaps he was an ogre or a troll. Whatever the creature was, it was humanoid, possessing arms and hands. The poem seemed to indicate that Grendel was a water demon. What Grendel looked like was anyone's guess. We're informed that the creature had lived in the fens and moors since the time when the biblical Cain had murdered his brother. So basically, are we to believe that no one really knows what everyone's terrified of this monster, that everyone's vaguely knows what it looks like, but that's part of the terrifyingness of it, I guess. Is it like, what is he? He's just this humanoid creature that comes at night and does horrible things, I assume.
He lives under the water as well. Well, we assume it's a he. It says he, but we're assuming it's gender. Also, I like how it I like the phrase the descriptions of Grendel were poor, as in it's absolutely shocking the descriptions of it. You know what I mean? The things that.
Is it because I imagine that though? Because people would be like, oh my god, I can't believe I just saw Grendel, and you'd be like, but maybe he's so terrifying. You're like, he had arms and he was tall and
he was dating a cheeky girl. It was weird. Yeah.
You're gonna keep milking that, aren't you?
Well, I can stop now if you want, but I think it's funny.
It's funny.
You know what?
While everyone slept in the hall, obviously, I know that because I'm a Viking expert.
Well, we had a Viking expert in 101, and that was both of us, so we are Viking experts. So,
while everyone slept, Grendel struck. The demon killed and carried off 30 of Hrothgar's brave thanes. Grendel took the corpses back to his lair at the bottom of the lake. Grendel fed from the blood and the flesh of the slain warriors. In the morning, Hrothgar and his people were terrified of the bloody gore, and the king grieved over the loss of his loyal subjects.
Oh, no.
Hrothgar tried to gather his most brave soldiers to track down and destroy the creature, or set them to guard the people in Heriot. All this to no avail. Grendel would come to Heriot every night on a bloody rampage, murdering the strong and the weak alike, feeding on the dead. Hrothgar had thought Grendel, but he could not even harm the demon. This had gone on for 12 years until Grendel had deprived Hrothgar of many brave warriors. Holy crap. So every now and then, over the course of 12 years, this water demon just rocks up and kills those
30
people.
men's quite a lot to go in one go as well. Do you reckon he has like a little refrigerator at the bottom of the lake just to kind of put all the dead bodies in? That's not
Maybe. I'm picturing Heriot as like, it's not a tiny village, clearly, because they've obviously got people to spare, but maybe it's like a medium-sized town. Like, it's a decent size. Yeah. And every night this creature comes and just messes stuff up. What's going to happen next?
This is terrifying. What this actually reminds me of. It's like this. So we have this unknown monster at the bottom of a lake who kind of feasts periodically on victims of a certain town. This actually rings quite closely to Theseus and the Minotaur. You know what I mean? With the tributes, the kind of dark monster figure that you're not quite sure about, and
you're like, yeah, that's true. Only the Minotaur, famously, obviously, the good thing about Minotaur is people selected who to sacrifice to him, and also it never left its labyrinth. But this is terrifying because this creature just comes whenever it wants.
Absolutely. So let's get to know who our protagonist is. By this time, after the 12 years, a young thane and nephew of Hygelac, named Beowulf, had heard.
That's the person. That's the main guy, I think.
Yeah. How do you know for sure?
because it's called Beowulf, but there might be a coincidence. So we'll just carry on.
It's named after. Halfway through, there's a wolf that has a 6-pack. Oh, Beowulf, nice. Come on, that's not bad. Give me something, Dan. Give me something.
That was good. Beowulf. I got it. He's got a 6-pack, like a 6-pack of beer. That was good.
Well, maybe laugh. Am I desperate?
Yeah.
All right. By this time, a young thane and nephew of Hygelac named Beowulf had heard of the event in Heriot. Beowulf was the strongest and the bravest warrior in the world. Beowulf was determined to aid Hrothgar against Grendel, to win the glory of slaying the dreadful demon. Beowulf took 14 of Hygelac's bravest thanes with him. Beowulf was the son of Jesus Christ. Right, before I say it, it's spelled ECGTHEOW. Ethegeo. Beowulf was the son of Ethegeo and Hygelac's unnamed sister. On his father's side, Beowulf belonged to the family known as the Wagemundings, including Wiglaf, whom we'll meet soon. Hygelac was the son of Hrethel. Have I just got all the ones just saying all the names? Because this is a fucking piss take.
You just got the genealogy bits. It's important, Matt. We're doing a saga. It's important that we know who he is.
You're the one that's supposed to say all the horrible names, and I laugh at you. It's not funny when I do it.
I know, but this is beautiful because you're the expert. Off you go.
Yeah, I am a Viking expert, I suppose. Also a gene boat specialist. Hygelac was the son of Hrethel, king of the Geats. Hygelac had also 2 older brothers, Haraldibald and Hæfsin. Hæfsin had accidentally killed Haraldibald in a hunting trip. That's the end of that story, by the way. Just done.
Also, you nailed Haraldibald,
yeah,
by the way. You smashed you hit that hard. That was good.
Because it could have went wrong, but Haraldibald, lovely stuff. Thanks, man. Hæfsin succeeded his father, but Ongatheo, king of the Swedes, had killed him in the Battle of Ravenswood. So the Hygelac was the current king of Geatland in southern Sweden.
Was any of this necessary?
No, just Beowulf just arrived. That's all you need to know.
So a bit like Hrothgar, all we've learned is that Beowulf's really strong, and he also has ancestors. He wasn't just made from nothing. He is the product of sexual reproduction many generations down the line.
I might start my next Edinburgh show just going back my whole ancestry, and at the very end just do one joke. Go, that's all I have time for. Bye.
This is the equivalent, though. You made a joke about the Aegean boat specialist, but this is the equivalent of that book in the Greek mythology that just names every ship.
Oh,
that
yeah.
went to Troy.
It was That's the second book of the Iliad, where it's called the Catalogue of Ships, and it just literally names all the ships. It's like, what the hell is this chapter?
Yeah, that's the equivalent of this, isn't it? Why do they do that?
I don't know. Who cares? Anyway, Beowulf arrived at Heriot with 14 of his companions. They met Wulfgar, Hrothgar's messenger and advisor. Beowulf entered the hall of Heriot, wearing his splendid corselet, made by the master smith Wayland. Beowulf then introduced himself to the Danish king. Do you want to be Beowulf introducing himself? And he's very Danish.
I can't do a Ray Winston accent though, because that's how Beowulf
Oh
was in the
yeah!
movie. I'll try and do my own
Can
thing.
you be like very Danish?
Yeah, I'll try. I'm gonna try and Mads Mikkelsen this. Oh, he didn't have. I don't have any lines, do I? Just got to have. Am I just riffing this?
I'll be the Danish king.
Okay. I'm gonna be Beowulf. Okay, here we go. Hello there, King. I am Beowulf.
Hello there, Beowulf. Welcome to my kingdom. Now tell me, have you just been made up on the spot?
No, I will tell you about my genealogy.
Look over there, it's a Beowulf.
My dad is called Egthior, and I have a sister, Hyglacuth. On my father's side, I belong to a family known as Hroemungldings, including Wiglaf, who you have most likely heard of. Hyglacuth is the son of Hrethel, king of the Geats. Hyglac had also two older brothers, Hyderveld and Heathlin. Heathlin had accidentally killed Hyderveld in a hunting trip. I will tell you about it, but it's really boring. Heathcling succeeded my father, Ungliflew, king of the Swedes. He'd killed him in battle in Ravenswood, so Hyglac was named current king of Geatland. Sorry, where was I?
Sorry,
oh yes, I'm Beowulf.
Sorry, I drifted off halfway through. Can you repeat that? All right, that's
I'll tell you sometime. I was in need.
Okay.
Also, I can't remember what a Danish accent sounds like. Is that obvious?
You sound a bit like Hannibal Lecter.
I sound like someone who... I sound like a French serial killer.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, here's the bit where it gets good. When Hrothgar heard that the young Geatish hero wished to aid him in slaying the monster Grendel, the king and his wife, Wealhtheomo, warmly welcomed Beowulf and his warriors as guests. Here, Beowulf had told them that he had previously killed 5 giants and a sea monster. Not every Dane received him warmly, though. Unferth thought the young hero was reckless and a braggart. Unferth had heard that Beowulf had lost a swimming race against Breca in the sea while they wore full mail shirt armors and a sword. That's the worst sport I've ever heard in my life.
I've ever heard that Beowulf had lost a swimming race in the sea while they wore... So they had a race. They swam across the sea as a race, but they had to wear armor.
Because imagine that in the Olympics, like a whole 8 people are wearing like full chainmail knight armor. It's like got the whole shebang.
This is an open water 10-kilometer swim,
and they all jump in and just sink to the bottom, like start drowning.
Yeah. But hey, do you know what? That shows how strong Beowulf is. Like, you got to be fit to do that.
Absolutely. Did you know in the ancient Olympics there was actually a race, like it's kind of like a jokey race, where they would have like the 100 meters, but they would also have one called the hoplite race, where they get dressed in like armor and had to do like laps in it. And apparently, it's like a bit of a fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
You're not the only expert on this. So yeah, that's quite strong of Beowulf, in all fairness. But it's not quite the truth. Beowulf told Unferth what really happened. Beowulf became separated from his swimming opponent when he became involved with a life and death struggle against the sea monster. Beowulf dispatched the monster with his sword.
Hrothgar became very fond of his young guest that he had promised to reward Beowulf if he managed to kill Grendel. Beowulf knew that the monster was carrying no weapons, so Beowulf declared that he would confront the monster without the use of his sword. Oh, God.
Wait, what?
He's like, well, what kind of weapons does the demon have? The demon doesn't have any weapons. Well, that's unfair if I fight him with a weapon.
Like, imagine...
I mean, the sea monster didn't have a sword either, but he still had to kill it with a sword. I mean, that's the stupidest logic ever.
Imagine that in like bringing...
Dan, get the tiger in the room! Matt, the tiger doesn't have a gun, so it'd be unfair for me to have a gun.
It's kind of like...
I'll take it from here.
Hey, you brought a knife to a gunfight. Well, sorry about that. Here's another gun. You can shoot us all properly now. Like what? Like also like they want to get rid of this. This is not a heroic thing. It's a pest problem. Like
Yeah, if Beowulf was like, I'm the most heroic soldier ever, I come from far and wide to kill this creature, it's going to be one of the many, it's just going to be another creature added to the list of my impressive monster killing CV. But by the way, I'm not going to have a sword. If I was the king, I would be like, you don't understand. This has been killing everyone in the village every night for the last 12 years. Can you just fucking kill it, please? For the love of God.
I also know that this is a saga, right? So we know that this goes on for a bit, but it'd be so funny if Beowulf in the first second, like, all right, let's fight this monster, and gets ripped to shreds instantly. Like, oh my god, I misjudged this massively.
After a supper and a long talk between Hrothgar and Beowulf, no doubt about their fucking family, the king and his retainers left the hall and went to bed, leaving Beowulf and his followers to guard the hall. Late at night, Grendel left his underwater lair and stealthily entered the hall. All of his companions fell to sleep in the hall, while Beowulf waited in the dark. Grendel killed one of the sleeping Geatish warriors. When Grendel went and attacked the next victim, Grendel was not only surprised to find him awake, but his prey had actually prevented him from crushing his victim. For once in his life, Grendel knew fear and pain. Pain because Beowulf's grip on his monstrous hands was so strong that he could not disengage from the hero. Grendel felt agony as he felt Beowulf crush his hands and fingers. Beowulf was relentless.
God.
So he's gone to pick up Beowulf and crush him, but Beowulf has grabbed his arms to stop him, right? And then crushed his hands.
Kind of like, here's a nerdy reference for you, in Avengers Endgame, where Thanos has the glove on with and Captain Marvel grabs his hand and kind of like stops him from using it, a bit like that.
I was also thinking, this is a year 10 secondary school GCSE reference, of Mice and Men, when when Curly goes to punch Lenny and he like crushes his hands.
That's a better reference.
Fun fact about the film with Gary Sinise, John Malkovich is in that. Do you know what else John Malkovich is in? Beowulf. Boom.
Lovely stuff, Dan. We are on fire today. By on fire, I mean we have brand new microphones and the content's fine.
A deadly struggle ensued as the monster tried to escape Beowulf's
What kind of
grip.
noise do you reckon Grendel makes when he's in bait?
Not a goat, I don't think. He's like, I killed the monster! Beowulf, that's a fucking goat that wandered in overnight.
Yeah, it's like, you killed one of my men. No, he didn't. He just like fell over him. Like,
yeah, wow, that was easy to kill. It's like, yeah, because it was a goat.
You killed my pet goldfish. No! You killed one of the cheeky girls. No! Milking it.
That's by the way, that's Grendel's. That's what Grendel does when he's killing people. I am the cheeky girl.
He actually does the last ketchup song. Goes hi, aha, hey, na 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 na. That's a 2000 reference.
That was. Beowulf's companions watched in awe before they joined in the fray to protect their leader. Oh,
yeah,
so now
right. Just asleep.
They tried to hack at the monster with their swords, but to no avail. Grendel was invulnerable to all weapons of war. Finally, Grendel felt excruciating pain as Beowulf tore off one of his arms from his shoulder. His lifeblood sprouted from the large blood, I think is the word we're looking for. Sprouted from the large wound. Grendel immediately fled from Beowulf and Heriot and returned to his watery home to die in agony because his wound was mortal.
Shit! So he ripped off his arm.
He's ripped the demon's arm off. Yeah.
Now that is intense, right? That's WTF. That's classic Norse.
Yeah. In Heriot, Hrothgar and his subjects were awakened from titanic struggle between the Geatish hero and the monster, found Beowulf holding Grendel's missing arm as proof of his victory. They all knew that Beowulf had dealt a death blow to the creature that had killed many, many of Hrothgar's warriors. In the morning, the people of Heriot celebrated the death of Grendel. The Danes arranged a great funeral pyre to the Geatish warrior who had murdered by Grendel last night. Hrothgar's bard recorded Beowulf's late night feat. The bard made a comparison of Beowulf with the hero Sigmund. And who's Sigmund?
The guy we looked at. The guy who killed Fafnir, the dragon.
He is. He killed the dragon.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that was a cool link. That's nice.
I think I said at the time, I remember saying at the time when you were talking about Sigmund, because you kept pronouncing it Sigmund, and I said, I think it's Sigmund, because I knew that because, one, Sigmund Freud, and also that's who he's named after, because that's a popular German name, it's a popular German and Danish myth, the Sigmund Fafnir one.
Yeah, so they're both great comparisons because they killed like a mythical monster, right?
The bard also told the war between the Danes and the Frisians. Hildebrough.
Oh, here we
Hildebrough.
go. Here we go. My vengeance is sweet.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Hildebrough, the sister of King Hrungnir of the Danes, had married Finn, the king of the Frisians. War had broken out between the two tribes at Finnsborough. Hildebrough's brother and son were killed in the fighting. Hengist became the new leader
Oh
of
my
the
God.
Danes, and an easy truce was settled between the Danes and the Frisians. Hengist broke the peace when the Thane, Hunlafing, incited the new king to take vengeance upon the Finn and the Frisians. Finn, Hildebrough's husband, was killed, and his hall was looted. As Hrothgar had promised, he rewarded the young hero with splendid armour, helmet, and a banner depicting a wild boar. Hrothgar also gave the hero the sword belonging to his father, Halfdan. Good fucking god.
Oh my God.
Was any of that relevant?
So hold on.
Or was that just another...
So let's unpick that for a second. So we had the war between the Danes and the Frisians, and I think what's happened here. So in ancient epics, so what we're reading from is a summary, but what it is that the bits that the bard's telling us, the bits which are irrelevant, the genealogy, these are all part of the text, and these are things that we'll be reading as well. And what the translator has done is that they kind of put them in, even though they're not quite relevant to the summary, it's what's being said in text, if you know what I mean. So so the bard is kind of given a very colourful description, and this person's put in. We didn't necessarily need it, but the point is that Hrothgar
is that this is the story they were telling
Yes.
at the party or the feast, the celebration of Grendel's death.
And yes, and this is in any ancient epics, it's an oratory thing, so it's not to be written down. It's always to be spoken out loud. Maybe not less with Norse mythology. I don't really know, but especially ancient Greek and Roman, it's meant to be said out loud. It's not necessarily meant to be said over text. So yeah, it's supposed to be.
And also,
very
the
beautiful.
lot of the time that the classical texts like this are to they serve a purpose at teaching people, the general readers, i.e., Danish and Viking people who would have read this myth, like a bit about themselves, history,
Yeah.
be it real or otherwise.
Absolutely, it's like there's like
Their identity.
There's mini myths in between it, like with Ovid's Metamorphoses. There's loads of mini myths, and that's what's happened. And when we get those small little things, like the grandma with 900 heads, that's like a mini myth there because like it's supposed to be linked to a different thing as well. But anyway, but the whole point is that Beowulf gets given a lot of different gifts. He's become the adopted son of Hrothgar, but there's one more thing, Dan.
Beowulf had also received a precious cup, which was a family heirloom. By giving the ancestral sword of the hero, it indicated that Hrothgar would like to adopt Beowulf as a son and make him heir instead of his own son, Hrethric. Ooh, I don't think that's going to go down well. Hlywelyn was aware of her husband's intention, anxiously asked Hrothgar to give whatever gifts he wished to Beowulf, but not to deprive one of her sons the right to rule after him. Hlywelyn also bestowed some more gifts to Beowulf, a necklace and a corselet. The Danish queen also appealed to Beowulf to be kind to her sons.
I mean, as if he's going to punch him in the head.
Oh, we've got a bit of a prelude here. Hrothulf, Hrothgar's nephew, would one day betray Hrothgar. Okay.
But, dun dun dun, we'll find out about that later on in this saga, but that is the end of part 1. And we're going to rank it right now. Hey there, my name is Matt Huss, and in this link I have an American accent, and I advocate the safe use of missed podcasts in small doses. Okay, so Dan, did you enjoy Beowulf so far? Is it interesting?
I'm really enjoying Beowulf. I think we're onto a good one here. It's going to be a good little saga.
Yeah, so as kind of mentioned,
I've always enjoyed our sagas, actually. Jason the Argonauts, the Iliad, the Odyssey. I like them all. They're all good. House of Pelops, they're all good.
The Aeneid.
The Aeneid.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's some really cool stuff in here. And I think this is more Anglo-Saxon rather than Norse, but there's obviously links between the two. So I think it's acceptable. But yeah, so let's just, this is already quite a long episode, so let's go and talk about, let's go and rank it straight away. And if you're new to this, we rank this on 4 different categories. That's on life skills, the stuff, practical things we learned. There's morals, which the ethical lessons we've learned, creativity, and WTF, and the messed up stuff at the end. So let's talk about life skills.
Right, let's smash this.
What kind of
life skills?
Okay, we learned how to we learned ancestry.com.
We learned ancestry, yeah. We learn how to swim and kill monsters with our armor.
Yeah, we learned
We learn how to rip a demon's arm off.
massive one. That's the key one, I would say. We learned how to stay awake at night.
We learn how to have a good time in a feast.
Yes, and how to sleep on floors, etc. We learn how to get vengeance, I guess, but that's more of a moral, I suppose.
We learn how to give gifts at the end. There, we learn how to honor someone who's done you a great favor.
Also, how to kill 30 men and survive in your lair as well. To do it often as well. After that, not much else, to be honest. I think that's not a lot, actually. But we have one key one, which is like ripping off swimming and also killing other monsters as well. Maybe 5.
Can I just say one thing this myth didn't, because this myth was very ambiguous about what Grendel was. Was he a water demon? Was he like a creature? Whatever. I mean, maybe that will become clearer later on. But one thing I will say, I don't know if you remember the movie, but the movie was Grendel was genuinely terrifying.
That's interesting because I wasn't sure. Because in my head, I remember as a kid, because I learned this as a kid, I remember what the impression was in my head. So when it ripped off its arm, it was so visceral as well. In this, we kind of went over it quite fast, but like the act of like pinning it back and like they're using his own strength against him and ripping it out of the socket. That's such a like we can't emphasize how visceral that is as well. Imagine like we kill a
In
lot.
the film, he crushes it against the big iron door to the hall.
Yeah, and also waving that trophy at the end as well. Like he got a whole arm as well.
Yeah.
Also, if you were Beowulf and you had any haters, like what I would do is get the arm of Grendel, make it flick the bird, and then every time someone pisses you off, you go like that.
Nice. Life skills. I'm going for
6.
6, maybe.
Yeah, I think 6 is fine. It's not lots, but more. I guess more than average. Morals. Be open to help and be open to giving help and receiving help. That's kind of the how a Hrothgar survives is by opening his door to strangers and being a kind host.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Don't eat people.
How to do a job. I mean, Beowulf, to be fair to him, he's got what he's came for. He's done the job.
Absolutely, he's a merc with a smile. I guess it's just don't eat people. After that, though, not a lot in my head.
Sleepover. It's taught us that sleepovers don't always keep you safe.
Absolutely, yeah.
If anything, it just makes you all a bigger target.
But also we also had that guy being a little bit shitty to Beowulf as well, saying, "Oh, you didn't win a sea race." It's like you don't have to judge a person's failure because there might be something different as well.
Yeah, another moral, and I think this is going to become bigger as we go on because it just seems to have been the very end of this one. But he's made Beowulf his heir, and that might piss off his actual sons by the sounds of it.
Absolutely, that's a big thing to do as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to come back and be a part of this. It's got to be, right? I mean, they haven't shoehorned, and this is just classic North misdirection where they've just shoehorned in a big thing that they're never going to go back to.
Yeah, okay, maybe a 4 or 5. I'm not sure.
I'm tempted to go 4, actually. I don't think morals were particularly high in this one.
It's average, I'd say. There's some big ones, but not a lot to it. You know what I mean? 4?
Let's do 4.
Creativity.
I think this is creative. I'm not going to lie.
Talk me through it.
I think, and I know we mocked the genealogy stuff, but that was creative. I mean, someone had to come up with that backstory.
Yeah, it took him like 20 minutes.
And actually, I wasn't even picturing when I had. When we did the Iliad, my problem was that when we talked about Troy, I found myself picturing the characters from the film, Brad Pitt as Achilles, blah, blah, blah. But Eric Banner as Hector. But in this one, I didn't actually, because this is genuinely a bit different in the way they describe stuff.
Yeah.
But I was really into it. Like I was picturing this horrific demon that comes at night, like this super scary Grendel. I was picturing the king and all the fun they were having in the hall. I could picture Beowulf swimming in the sea. Like there's a lot of narrative here. Like we really feel like we've got some proper characters here, some proper protagonists.
And as you say, it was colourful. It's a vibrancy which we saw, like the grimness of a monster and its lair, but also contrasting to the side of a warm hearth as well. I think there's a lot of different. It's quite vivid as well. So maybe like I don't know, maybe a 6, 7.
I was going to 6 or 7. Yeah, should we go 7?
Yeah, I think it's 7. Yeah,
I agree.
and it's about
All right, WTF.
right.
So we've got.
The big one.
Well, we'll start with the small, which is that they had a race where they swam in their armor, and he had to kill a sea monster.
Yeah.
And that's his genuine excuse for losing, and it probably happened as well. So that's crazy.
That sounds a bit like a humble brag. Like, I did lose that race, but I had to kill a sea monster. Oh, third world problem. You know what I mean? Yeah.
At first, I thought he was maybe lying, but considering the ease with which he ripped Grendel's arm off, I was like, well, actually, he probably is a pretty. I think he's a badass. I think we can say that about Beowulf.
What's also WTF is that he's adopted above the rest of Hrothgar's sons. That's quite messed up, right?
Yeah, and he's pretty made air. Like he's only been there a night, but literally like a day and a night.
Also, how everyone else falls asleep, but Beowulf's the only one that stays awake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's waiting for Grendel. He's as hard as nails. He's
He's hard as nuts.
He's hard as nuts.
He's hard as a Rizoma.
The seed.
The famous seed.
He's the hardest seed. That's a callback to 101, I want to say.
Yes, correct.
No, WTF though, him ripping off the arm, that's pretty crazy. And how quickly he did it. And the fact that he was like, oh, he doesn't have any armor, so I'm not going to wear any armor. Oh, he doesn't have a weapon. I'm going to fight him as an equal. You're not an equal. He's a fucking demon.
And yeah, I think that's big. But we don't have, in terms of gore, well, we 30 men get killed, so we have to really ignore every year.
For 12 years.
Yeah. So maybe 7 or 8, but I'm thinking maybe 7.
I think it's probably a 7.
Yeah, 7. Right. But I think that's an iconic moment there. Beowulf ripping off the arm of a monster and keeping it as a trophy. That is classic Norse mythology right there.
That is classic.
All right. So what's that?
I make that 6477. I make that 24. Is it?
Yes, absolutely correct. So a middle.
Middle. It's pretty middle.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Well, Dan, it's been a pleasure to chat once again. Should we do a professional outro?
Yeah, let's do that.
Or should I do? I'll say something in Spanish first.
Okay, go on.
Hasta mañana, amigos. There you go. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, friends.
Yes.
I'm actually going to say hasta luego because I feel like I'm not going to see them tomorrow. I'm going to see them later. So that's why I'll say hasta luego.
Well, really, it's not really up to them. It's up to them, not really us, I guess. So if you want to help me out, listen to another podcast tomorrow with us, not just a random one. But if you want to help Dan out, just listen to it later. So, let us know. Tweet us at Miss Podcast at Twitter or join our Facebook group Misfits. And we're looking to get more people joining in and saying hello. That'd be really good. And also you can email us at misspodcast@gmail.com. That's MIFFS, just to clarify. Some people still spell it with the YTH, which what? How did you get this far and do it? Never mind.
They don't, do they?
Yeah, I heard someone say, "Oh, sorry, it bounced back." And I was like, "Yeah, because you spelled it the wrong fucking." Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, even in the episode descriptions, we call them myths. We're like, this week's myth.
Like on my phone, it recognizes myths as the normal version how to solve myths. Do you know what I mean?
God. And we went to great lengths at explaining that in the very early episodes of why it was called myths. And I feel like it just exemplifies that people don't listen to them in order.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely not. Looking at you
also,
now,
isn't our logo on the podcast a massive green myths? Yeah.
Yeah. Like you don't have to tell this to me, Dan. Like honestly, but regardless, we'd love to hear your email. So do get in touch. Let us know what you think about the episodes, if it's positive, and just get in touch. We'd like to just hear your correspondence. Really, yeah, it really makes our day. So if you've enjoyed it, let us know, and also give us 5 stars on iTunes. That's the only way that other people can see it, and tell your friends. We've done 100 of these episodes and more for free. So it's the very least you can do. Anything else to add, Dan?
No.
Okay. Do you want to plug my comedy show on my website?
Yes, if you go to Matt Hoss Comedy, there is a website. Is it .com or .co.uk?
.com.
MattHossComedy.com. Matt's got a nice little page where he talks about all his upcoming events and his comedy stuff. I went to see him not that long ago in Wimbledon before this whole COVID thing started. Matt, I've got to say, was impressed.
I got a standing ovation, but it was quite unique because people sat down.
Down for it, yeah. I noticed that as well, but hey, is what it is.
Well, he did stand up, but to leave afterwards for the show. But yeah, it was. It was I'll see you guys later on. It's been a pleasure to chat to you. I hope you rip the arm off your week. Is that a positive thing to say? I don't know.
In the context, yes.
Yeah. Well, I've been Matt Hoss.
I've been Dan Rhodes.
And this has been a good show. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Myths. 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 And just to clarify, for by the way, your mic's going a bit weird. By the way,
yeah, it's because I sneezed into it. Can't wait to see how much of that stays in.
Yeah, I think both of us zoned out for about half of that. You know what? I actually know quite a lot of Spanish, but I don't know any numbers yet.